Hi everyone, my name is Sarah and this is my channel, So Sarah Sewed. In today's video, I am going to share with you my recent makes. So that's everything I made in February and March. I have 5 finished sewing makes and 1 finished knitting make I'm excited to share with you today. If you watched my March plans video, I had 3 sort of autumnal plans for the month of March. Spoiler alert, I actually did not make any of those 3. I'll still make them. I'm hoping to make them in April instead, so look out for those. But I did have some other items that I talked about in my Sew Frugal video, and I got 2 of those made up. So I'll go back to the start of February and talk through my February makes first. The first item I'll talk about is a pair of tracksuit pants, and I've got them on right now. I'm wearing a sewing Billie top today, a Tilly in the Buttons pattern, really comfortable jumper I like to wear while I'm on holidays. And I have just got home from a big day and I have put on my Chanterelle pants knit version. It's a pattern by Liberated. Now the original pattern is designed for woven fabrics, and in January I made a pair of linen pants and I absolutely love them. They have on their blog a tutorial on how to turn these Chanterelle pants into a pair of tracksuit pants basically, so using a knitted fabric. I've used a black French terry that I got from Maai Design and they've worked out really, really nicely. They're hard to sort of show in photographs being black, but I'll just stand up and give you a quick look. So a nice elasticized waistband. We've got our pockets here. More pockets on the back. I'll put some proper photos in so that you can see a bit more clearly what they look like. But I've made the tapered version, so I think it was view B, but it's a sort of a barrel leg with a tapered ankle. And the way that the ankle goes in is with a couple of pleats, a pleat on the front and back of each leg. And you can sort of see that. I'll put a picture in here to show you how that sort of came out in the tracksuit pant version. Now, the pants really come together exactly the same way as the woven ones, but with a few little changes. So for example, rather than turning under raw edges of the pocket pieces on the back, you just sew them directly onto the back piece with a raw edge because they won't fray. Hopefully you could see that. And because of that, you do need to trim down those pocket pieces just a little bit. So where they would have been folded under, you just reduce the pocket size by that much. And apart from that, it was really just about choosing the right stitch type for the pants. So I made mine on my sewing machine. I don't own an overlocker. And so the whole thing, I just sewed together all the seams with a zigzag stitch. And then things like the back pockets, I just sewed on with a straight stitch because they're not going to be really under a whole lot of pressure. And yeah, that was pretty much it. The blog post was really, really helpful. The only thing that I wasn't sure about was when to use a zigzag stitch and when to use a straight stitch, because I could see in the photos sometimes it looked like a straight stitch. So I just kind of used my common sense in that. And if I knew that the seam was going to be under some kind of pressure, I would use a zigzag stitch. But if I thought it wasn't really, I used a straight stitch. So they are my Chanterelle pants. I highly recommend this pattern. I love my linen version. I wear them a lot. They've had a lot of wear at work. The elasticized waistband is so comfortable, but I think the tailored kind of look of the rest of the pants gives them a formal enough look to be able to be worn in a work environment. So I've had a lot of wear out of those. These black tracksuit pants I haven't had as much wear out of because I can't wear those to work. But now that the weather is cooling down, I'm sure I'll get a lot of wear out of them. I've actually got rehearsals at school for our school musical next week and during the holidays, and I know I'll be wearing them to those and just being as comfortable as I can while I can be. I made the exact same size in the knit version of the Chanterelle pants as I did in the woven version. I probably could have sized down 1 just because there's a little bit of give in the French terry, but they're really comfortable. I feel like I had to reduce my waistband elastic by a little bit just to make sure they felt nice and snug around my waist. But apart from that, all very, very similar to the woven version and yeah, extremely comfortable. I would highly recommend this pattern. Sticking with the French terry theme, I also bought a lilac French terry from Maai Design. Just a plain, solid colour, very unlike me, but I thought this would be a really handy thing to have made up into a wind cheater, pullover, jumper, whatever you want to call it. This was one of my Make 9 plans this year, just a nice oversized wind cheater that I could wear with leggings or jeans or tracksuit pants or anything like that, just to keep me nice and cozy. I do have a couple of these Billie tops. I've got a black one as well, which gets a lot of wear, but I really just wanted something nice and long and oversized and cozy. So I decided to make the Jackson Pullover by Helen's Closet. Now, this is a pattern that's a pullover and a t-shirt. This pattern has a really big size range and is designed to be worn by anyone, any gender. I looked at quite a few Instagram posts of people who'd made this to see what the fit would be like. And then Helen herself put in the instructions that if you wanted an oversized fit, to size up 2 sizes from what you would normally measure at. Now, I measured between about a size 12 and 14 for Helen's Closet patterns. So I decided to just size up to the 16 for this one. And the view I went for was the longer length. So there are 2 different lengths for the Jackson pullover. I used a ribbing that was also from Maai Design in the exact same shade, so it all worked really nicely together. And the pattern came together really nicely, as Helen's Closet patterns seem to do for me. Her instructions are excellent and very easy to follow. And yeah, this was a really quick and simple make. I did actually put on my March plans that I was going to try the t-shirt version next. And in that one, I am going to size back down to a 14 and see how that goes. And I'm looking forward to making that, hopefully, these school holidays at some point. The next item was also on my Make 9, and the idea behind this one was that I wanted to use up some of my larger remnants from other projects. And I like the look of this top called the Split Peplum Tank by Matchy Sewing Club, or the Peplum Split Tank. I can never remember which way. It's designed so that you can use a number of different fabrics. So there is an optional seam down the front, and then there is a seam at the back with a peplum just at the back. It's a really cute look. So what I decided to do was I used the plain blue linen that I had made my original Chanterelle pants in from January, and that's a blue linen from the fabric store. And on the back, I used a remnant of a linen viscose that I got from an outlet sale from Variety Hour in this big protea print. And I used it for both of the sections at the back. So this pattern came together really quickly as well. It was a really nice, fun sew. From looking at other people's posts and the size that they made, I decided to, I think I was between sizes, maybe between medium and large, and I decided to make the medium. There's quite a bit of room under the arms, so I'm definitely glad I did that. It's a little bit gapey. But apart from that, it's a really comfortable top. And I've worn this on hot days at work as well. I like to wear it paired with that. I do like to wear it paired with my Chanterelle pants because of, yeah, well, it's made from that same fabric at the front. So that's a really nice matching set. So I'll put some pictures in so you can see how they look together. I really like this large peplum at the back. It's a really nice feature. And I reckon I'll probably end up making this pattern again one day too. Maybe with that center seam split as well in my next version. So moving on to my frugal makes. If you watched my So Frugal plans, I talked about wanting to use remnants or cut up clothes that I just didn't wear for my frugal makes this month. And I got 2 of them made. So the first one I made were the Friday Sport Shorts by Friday Pattern Company. These are, as the title implies, a sporty pair of shorts, basically. What's cool about them is that they have this contrast binding around the pockets and the side seams, which I guess really accentuates the shape of the shorts and where the pockets are and things like that. And then a waistband of that same fabric as well. Of course, you could use whatever fabrics you like. You could use the same fabric for all of the sections, but I do like the way the contrast binding looks. So I had a dress that I made a few years ago in a Nerida Hansen midweight cotton, and I just wasn't wearing it. So I decided to cut the skirt off that and turn it into these shorts. Then I had some blue linen that I had left over from making my mum a shirt dress for Christmas, and the colours went really, really nicely together. So here are my shorts. I'm really happy with how these turned out. I think the colours look perfect together. They were a really fun make. I really like, as I said, the way this binding just shows you where those pockets are. The piece of linen that I had did require quite a bit of piecing together. I didn't have a long enough bit, but I did have plenty once I, pieced it all. The only thing I would say about this pattern, I found that the drawstring cord is a bit short. So it does do up, but it's a little bit, once I've got it on, the bow, it's just a little bit short. I would have preferred that hanging a little longer. In the pattern, it suggests that you use the same fabric as the contrast for the drawstring, but I just simply ran out of that fabric, so I used the black instead. But I don't know, I'll see how I go with them. I might end up replacing that again. A third contrast fabric would be fine too. I just wanted that slightly bit longer, I think, for the drawstring. But I'll see how I go with them. I can't imagine myself getting too much wear out of them this year, but hopefully once the weather gets warmer, I reckon I'll wear them a lot next summer, because I love a pair of shorts on a hot day. So just for lounging around the house in and keeping cool. So yeah, they're a great free pattern, and if you've got a remnant lying around, I would recommend giving those a go. And the last pattern I made for So Frugal 24 was the Agustina Boxy top by fabricstore.com or thefabricstore.com. Again, this pattern's name kind of says it all. It's just a really boxy top. The sleeves are grown on with a cuff. So a very simple construction for this top. There's binding around the neckline, which again was really easy. The pattern instructions were good. They were easy to follow, and I'm really happy with this one. So this particular fabric that I had, I just bought, I actually received for Christmas a few years ago. My mum bought me some Dupes Designs linen, linen cotton maybe, and I made myself a Roscoe blouse with it originally. I do still have that Roscoe blouse. I don't wear it all that often because it's quite oversized. I should have sized down. So I sometimes wear it underneath a pinafore. I feel it's a bit gapey if I'm wearing it by itself. So wearing it under a pinafore works well. But I had enough of this fabric left over to make this top. It was a bit of a squeeze. I had to go over the selvage for some of the pattern pieces, but that was within the seam. So I got away with it. But here we have my Agustina Boxy top. I basically wore this the day after I made it to work. I absolutely love it. I think it's so pretty. I just wore it with a pair of paper bag linen pants, and yeah, felt great in it. I think because of all the colors in there as well, it works really nicely with any kind of cardigan. I think I'll get a lot of wear out of this one. So that's another great free pattern I would definitely recommend if you have a small remnant piece. It didn't take up much at all and was a nice, quick and simple make. So I now have a knitting project to share with you, and this was a really big project. I cast on the 30th of December last year. This is a West Knits pattern called the Glittering Snowscape Shawl. This was the HiberKnitalong for 2023. I hadn't participated in these before. It's not a mystery shawl. The pattern was released, I think, in November. So people started knitting it then. But then the official cast on date was Boxing Day. I was then expecting there to be some kind of plan to follow or timeline to follow or something, or sort of guidance along the way. But there was absolutely nothing. I don't think Stephen West ever posted about it again after Boxing Day. I think it's kind of like, good, sold the pattern, tick, move on. So that was a little bit disappointing. But I absolutely loved knitting this pattern. It was so much fun. I tried to get Mum on board to do it too because I loved it that much. But she doesn't wear shawls and she held strong and didn't join me on this one. But I loved it, and I knit pretty much every day from the 30th of December to when I finished it in the middle of March, towards the end of March maybe. It had a lot of sections, and every section there was a different knitting sort of pattern involved, And I think because you were constantly changing what you were doing, mixed with the fact that there were 5 different yarns that you were working through to create this kind of fade effect, it just kept me interested the whole time. You constantly wanted to see how it was going to look when you did that next section, even though it wasn't a mystery. Really enjoyed it. My mum actually bought me the yarn for this shawl for Christmas. Skein Yarn had some kits put together for this particular shawl, and I asked my mum for one, but I asked her to choose the colour way. I wanted a surprise. So the colours that she bought me were sort of silvers fading into bluey, greeny, grey, and then a brown at the end. And when I first saw it, I thought that brown, I couldn't see how that worked with the rest of the colours, to be honest. And I was a little bit skeptical about it, but once I started knitting it into the pattern and finishing it up, I think it works absolutely beautifully. Yeah, I really, really love it. So I'm sure I've been putting photos all through here of the way it's turned out, but I will just show it in person as well. It's a really big shawl. It's not a small project, but if you want a really nice, you know, long-term project to work on and you like knitting shawls, I would recommend this one, just because it just, yeah, it just has so many different sections to enjoy. So you don't really get an idea of the size, but trust me, it's really, really big. So I'm looking forward to wearing that when the weather gets cooler. I am someone who does wear shawls a lot. I think because I often wear puffy sleeves as well, a shawl works really nicely if a jumper doesn't fit over those. So we get some weather that's, you know, very cold in the mornings and then warms up to quite a warm day. So those mornings, a shawl can be really handy. And yeah, I wear them almost every day through the winter. I also like to have one just on my desk or near my desk to throw on if I get cold in my office. Yeah, so looking forward very much to getting wear out of that. So that is everything I got made in the months of February and March. I thought I would get a bit more sewing done, but I think because I was so keen to get my shawl finished, knitting became a priority. And yeah, the sewing has kind of fallen to the side a little bit. So it was good to have the Sew Frugal challenge in there to get me motivated to make a couple of things. Otherwise, it's possible I wouldn't have made anything sewing wise in March. But there you go. I am determined to get some sewing done this holidays, starting with tonight. So hopefully my April Makes video will have something to share with you there as well. Hope you're well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.